back to the Commanders Declassified podcast, your home for all things Washington Commanders. The draft is upon us. It's this week. 2 more days left until the draft is officially underway and we can stop speculating and arguing on social media. At this point, I think it's relatively clear who they're going with at number 2, but you never know, right? The draft is full of surprises and an opportunity for surprises, right? So we'll have to wait and see what Adam Peters do because nobody officially knows. Eric, let me ask you this question. So a lot has been made about the Commanders potentially trading back up into the first round to try to get an offensive lineman. If I asked you today what the likelihood of that is percentage-wise, what would you say?
Trading back up? Now they won't. They're trading number 2, so they're going to have picks 11 and 23 and Justin Jefferson. So they'll have pick 23 to take an offensive lineman, methinks. Unless they move that, they'll trade that to move up for J.J. McCarthy. You heard it here first, ladies and gents.
I knew I should have asked Mike.
You should have.
What do you think? What do you think the chances are that they're going to trade up into the first round or the back end of the first round and try to get a tackle?
Man, everybody expects it. So at this point, I'm like 10%. Because so many people are talking about it, I'm going to go against the grain and say 10%. I think the board works magically for them, and they are able to get a tackle who we thought wouldn't go in the second round with the first pick. So 10%. Because the only reason I'm saying 10 is because I hope they do it. I don't want to say 0% because I hope they do it. So that 10% is me wishing that everybody's right. But that 90% is saying you're wrong.
That's right, man. We'll see. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to take you through the first round of the draft. We're going to account for all the teams to see how some of these things can shake out. And then we'll talk about where maybe they can slide back into the round to get somebody. So I am going to bring up the magical draft simulation tool that we use here. Shout out to PFF. Fellas, here we go. And I got all the teams selected here. We're just do the single round. Let me select all. And let's go ahead and start the draft. Eric's going to kick it off. He's going to represent the Chicago Bears. I'm going to block out any of these stupid pop-ups that come up on my screen. The Bears are on the clock. What's happening here, man?
The Bears select Jaden Daniels just to make Ellie mad. No, no, I mean it's Caleb Williams. They're taking Caleb Williams. They sent Caleb Williams. The coaches didn't even go on his top 30 visit. They sent him out to dinner with like his teammates, his future teammates. They didn't have any other quarterbacks in for visits. Like it was Caleb's only visit. Caleb Williams is pick number 1. No brainer.
It's going down. I agree. Commanders, guys, look, Vegas is saying it. Your local beat reporters are saying it. The national media is saying it. GMs are saying it. Other teams are saying it. The Commanders are going to take Jaden Daniels on draft night. Get used to it. Learn to love it because it's going to be amazing. Jaden Daniels is a Washington Commander. And a little birdie told me he might wear number 11. All right, Mike, Patriots. You're representing the Patriots organization here. Who are you taking? Their needs are quarterback, wide receiver, tackle, and edge defender.
So everyone expects them to trade. I think there's even been reports that the Patriots are trying to trade. But I think about their head coach, Gerard Mayo, and I know he's not making all the calls. But the number one thing defensive coaches usually hate to play against are mobile, athletic quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Drake may not be in the same realm as Jaden Daniels as when it comes to scrambling and athleticism, but he's an athletic quarterback. He's a good quarterback, and he can grow. I don't think New England should not trade out this pick. They take Drake May with that third pick and grow with him. I know they're not in position to build a quarterback. So what? That's why they're picking third in the draft right now. But they can grow together. I feel like that Mayo-May combination can grow together. We just saw Buffalo do something similar with McDermott and Josh Allen. So give me Drake May at 3 for the Patriots, and Yeah, nobody's going to Minnesota. Well,
And
maybe not yet.
the good news for New England is that they have Brissett that they can start at least for the first several games of the year to allow May to get acclimated, and then they can make a decision of are we talented enough to even put him on the field or just redshirt him for his rookie year. So there's no pressure in New England because
we lost Ellie. He muted himself. We don't have to listen to him talk about Jaden Daniels the whole time. It's going to be great. There he is.
Yeah, my mic. Yeah. So anyway, I hit the cord on my stupid mic, but the New England Patriots are the best situation for Drake May, in my opinion, in this first round. All right, Arizona's on the clock. Eric, who are they taking?
Yeah, Drake May being gone. This is where you start maybe thinking trades, but the Vikings would be a team that would want to jump up, and I would not be surprised if they make a huge push to move to 2 or 3 to get Drake May. Kevin O'Connell really likes Drake May, but it's not there. I don't think they're going to jump up and take J.J. McCarthy, so I think Arizona is going to stand pat here. There are a lot of good wide receivers on the board, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr., everybody agrees, is the cream of the crop, and that's the pick here. They get Kyler Murray, a great weapon moving forward, so there's no more excuses for him. Maybe he plays Call of Duty 2. I don't know. We'll have to look into that, but yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the pick for the Cardinals at 4.
The Chargers with John Harbaugh have a lot of needs, which means there's a lot of opportunity to pick somebody. Their needs, according to PFF, are running back, wide receiver, tight end, defensive interior, linebacker, and cornerback. I actually think that they're going to go offensive line and take the tackle. Jim Harbaugh is a fan of being really strong in the trenches. So I'm going to go Joe Alt. Malik Neighbors was there. Did I think about it? Yes. Did I pull the trigger? Absolutely not. I think he's going to get the best lineman of the draft in Joe Alt and give Justin Herbert some more protection. Mike, Giants are on the clock.
This is really tough because there's murmurs that they're going for J.J. McCarthy and even willing to trade up to get him or Drake May. So with McCarthy falling to them at 6, it's kind of like a best case scenario for them. But I'm going to go against the grain, man. And I say they might say, you know what, Daniel, we'll give you one more year. We'll give you one more year. We invested all this bread in you. Give you one more year. And on top of that, we're going to give you a beast to play with, pause, on the outside. And we're going to give you Malik Neighbors, bro. You have a nice offensive line around you. You have some decent weapons now. Your job is on the line. If you can't cook, we made a mistake and we should have got McCarthy. But I think they go the passive route. They get Neighbors. They stick to Daniel Jones, and Washington fans rejoice. No, I'm joking.
I like it. That's a good pick for them. That'd be some problematic wide receiver play with the Giants with Malik Neighbors and then Jalen Hyatt from last year, the game breaker deep threat that they have. So really fast.
The last time the Giants took a receiver in the first round out of LSU, he turned out to be pretty good.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
OBJ, if anybody's wondering. All right, Tennessee Titans on the clock at number 7. My Joe Alt pick. That was, that's penciled in for me. I got to scratch it out because Ellie stole him and took him at 5. You've got a quarterback in place in Tennessee. You really want to protect him. You want to get him as much help as possible. So I'm going to pull a wild card here, and I'm going to go with Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. You get the best of both worlds. You get a stud blocker and a great receiver. And hopefully this team, who did they have? Who did Callahan have in Cincinnati? They had a solid tight end up there, right? Can't think of his name. He was always hurt, but he was pretty good. You're going to give Will Levis a nice weapon and some additional protection. We're going to take Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia, at number 7 for Tennessee.
I like it. Should be a good player for them. The Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. They just signed Kirk Cousins. They got all kinds of receivers. Their defense needs some work. And so I'm going to go look at the defensive edge defenders here. And we got Latu from, what's that, UCLA? I think I'm actually going to go Dallas Turner from Alabama. They're going to surprise people. They're going to take him before they take Latu. Dallas Turner, I like him. He's played at a major university. Big, strong, fast, for his size kind of guy that makes an impact. We're going Dallas Turner. All right. Let's see. Mike, excuse me. Chicago Bears are back. They got their quarterback. What are they doing now?
Mike muted himself. What is it with you
My
guys?
apologies, everyone.
There you go.
My apologies. The way the draft broke out, it's pretty tempting for me to draft a Dunze with them. That trio would be crazy with Caleb Williams. My goodness. But I see a player on the board that would pair really, really nice with former Washington Commander Montez Sweat. Yes, I can't pronounce his name, but the edge from UCLA. I feel like Chicago, they're shoring up that offense, but you can't forget about that defense, especially in that division where you're going to go against Jordan Love of explosive Lions offense. Shore up that defense to go with that offense, man, and they could be cooking pretty quickly in that division for real. Right. Against all the odds.
No doubt. And I like the UCLA edge rusher. I just think that Dallas Turner has a higher quality skill set that you could capitalize on if he ever gets there.
Yeah, all right. It's the medicals on Latu. That's the concern. Yeah. He had to almost retire from football because of his neck, but he's back and he's good. I think Dallas Turner goes ahead of him as well. But yeah, Latu, that's a good pick to pair with Montez Sweat. I
buddy.
Now you've given me a conundrum, though, because I thought you were taking Odunze there, and now the Jets on the clock at 10. Now, they've already got Garrett Wilson in place.
Pairing him with Odunze?
Pairing him with Odunze is tempting, but they also need offensive line help. They got to protect Aaron up there in New York. So I think Rome is going to continue to slip just a little bit because I just don't think the Jets can pass up a top-notch tackle. And you've got your, pretty much your pick of the litter after Joe Alt here. And I'm going to go with a little bit of a surprise. I'm going to go with Troy Fautanu. Maybe a little bit of a reach here, but I think he, upside-wise, maybe has a little bit of an edge on J.C. Latham or Fashanu. I think Latham is maybe a right tackle. Fautanu, there's a chance he can play on the left side or the right side. So I'm going to go with Fautanu at 10. Troy Fautanu out of Washington. Sorry, out of Oregon State. No, sorry. I'm a moron. Don't listen to me. Yeah, he is from Washington.
Yes, Washington.
Yeah.
So the Vikings have the 11th pick in the draft, and they have a lot of options in front of them. They have a lot of needs. There's a lot of things that they can do and get better. I'm going to go Cooper DeJean. Is it Cooper DeJean or Cooper DeJean? I'm taking him at number 11. I'm kidding. So there's a lot of things that they can do. I think they will go quarterback. I'm going to say J.J. McCarthy drafted here. They're going to take that guy because I think the love that O'Connell has for Drake May is a smokescreen, and he really likes J.J. McCarthy. He's just trying to get you to not draft him before he can. So the Broncos are on the clock, Mike. What do they do?
Odunze finally comes off the board. I feel like he just will not go past this pick. Yeah. And it's an actual need for Denver as well. And some people have him higher or as high as Neighbors. So, yeah, I like that pick. You could pair him up with Zach Wilson and Sean Payton out in that high altitude city, man. And, yeah, I think the Broncos get busy with Odunze.
And they just traded Jerry Jeudy as well. So
right. So it's a need.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's a good pick. And the Raiders are on the clock. Well, what do we have here? The Las Vegas Raiders are frozen out of the quarterback market. They couldn't offer, they didn't have enough to offer to move up into the top 5 to get their guy, Jaden. JJ did not fall to them. I think this is still too high for Michael Penix. I don't know that they're in a little bit of a pickle here, but I think they're gonna go offensive line as well. And I think this is where Olu Fashanu from Penn State's gonna go, number 13 to the Raiders. Somebody's got to protect Aiden O'Connell's blind side.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick, man. I think they definitely need that help.
They need a lot. They need a quarterback, but they also can't block for whoever they pick. So
that's true.
Yeah.
So the Saints being on the clock next. I mean, there's so many different options here that you could do. Wide receiver, if they need some help there. They do have the young stud, but they need somebody on the opposite side. Adonai Mitchell, the fastest. No, that's not the thing. But yeah, this Adonai Mitchell guy is a very good receiver from Texas. Brian Thomas Jr., another LSU product. Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey. All I'm trying to say is the wide receivers are deep here, so I think they go in another direction. They're going to try to keep their quarterback upright, and I think that they're going to go with the offensive line here. We're going to have a little bit of a run, and I'm going to say they go J.C. Latham in the draft at number 14 to the New Orleans Saints. That puts the Indianapolis Colts on the clock.
I feel like a lot of people would like to put Cooper DeJean there with Indianapolis, but I actually think Quinion Mitchell will be the first corner off the board heading to Naptown with the 15th pick for the Indianapolis Colts. So you can go ahead and lock that in.
Ooh, that puts an interesting spin on things because now the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock.
Yep, and man, the Seattle Seahawks are really angry at you, Mike, because pairing Quinion Mitchell with Witherspoon on the outside, oh my gosh, that would be a nightmare of a defense. And then you've got Tariq Woolen too. Yeah, I mean, that would just be a nightmare. You'd have Legion of Boom would be back, but that ain't happening because Quinion is off the board. I think the Colts. I'm going to sound like a broken record. But I am going back. To the offensive tackle position. I think Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State comes off the board here to Seattle. They are also in need of an offensive line help in Seattle. Honestly, a corner would almost be a luxury pick with what they already have, but I think Mitchell would be the guy if he's on the board. But I think Fuaga out of Oregon State is the guy here.
Yeah. The Jaguars on the clock, their defense needs some love. They were pretty good last year. Their offense needs some help. They need better quarterback play, really. They need some offensive line help, but I don't like who's left at this point in the draft. So they're going to get Jared Verse in the draft here and get another really, really highly talented edge rusher to come out and support them there, which puts the Bengals on the clock.
Really, really like this player. And it would be an embarrassment of riches for the Bengals to do this. But they've already proven that it works. They will draft Brian Thomas Jr. and pair him with another LSU legend and Jamar Chase. And that trio of Chase, Thomas, Higgins with a healthy Barrow, Bengals could be back in the Super Bowl, man. It don't take much for them to get there. It doesn't take much for them to get there. So, yeah, I'm feeling that.
Well, okay. That's a wide receiver. That's a wide receiver room there, for sure.
If it worked once, it's going to work again. Sorry, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, but if the Bengals can get that third receiver, it'll be a much better trio than they had the last time they went to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I really like Brian Thomas Jr. You put him with a quarterback and a receiver like Burrow and Chase, and it's on. It's on.
He's a good player. The Rams are on the clock now.
Yep, and the Rams just lost Aaron Donald. Their defensive front is hurting. I think they go Byron Murphy, the second out of Texas. He's a big old stout defensive tackle, and he's just what they need with their front seven in flux a little bit. So Byron Murphy, the second defensive tackle out of Texas, goes to the Rams at 19.
Yeah, that's almost a gimme if that happens. So,
and Ron Rivera's smiling somewhere.
Steelers need wide receiver help. To go with Russell Wilson, they need a center, they need a tackle, they need a DB. I'm going to say that, at this point in the draft, the receivers left, they kind of been picked through a little bit. These guys are second-round guys to me. The tackle position, same thing. It's a little early to look at guard to me at this point in the draft. So I'm going to say that they go cornerback, and they're going to get Cooper DeJean, who is typically thought of as one of the number one cornerbacks in this draft. He already played for their colors when he went to Iowa. He sticks around with the color scheme and goes to Pittsburgh, which puts Miami on the clock.
Miami really needs help on the offensive line. Can we go to the interior lineman, please, sir?
Got it.
I believe this will be our first pick from the interior lineman. Do I want to go chalk and just take the Powers Johnson from Oregon? I think he's like the only guard that I've been seeing mock to teams in the first round too. So, yeah, let's lock that in. Jackson Powers Johnson. What a name. That sounds like an offensive lineman. Jackson, the man got 3 last names. How you going to have 3 last names? But, no, seriously, though, Miami, they need some offensive line help. I think the rest of the team is solid. They don't really need any skill positions. McDaniels has proven to cook with whatever you give him in Miami. So, yeah, show up that O-line and do some damage next year, Miami.
Wow, you took my pick. The Eagles, that's where the Eagles were going on my board, too. They were Jason Kelce. Yep, they were 100% going center right there. Yeah, so Jackson Powers Johnson is gone. Oh, boy. What do the Eagles need?
They need wide receiver, linebacker.
They need some secondary.
Who goes to Georgia or Michigan? That's who they're going to take. Somebody. Oh yeah, Amarius Mims right there. Howie Roseman once again will be a genius for drafting players from Georgia. Everybody will hail this pick because he drafted somebody from Georgia, and that's all it takes to be a genius. So Amarius Mims goes to the Philadelphia Eagles at 22.
Yeah. The Vikings have a lot of needs. They've gotten their quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. Now they're going to get him some help on the interior offensive line. They're going to go West Virginia, Zach Frazier. It's close enough to where they feel comfortable taking this pick. He's a 33rd ranked player. Average draft position is 41. They're just going to pick a guy they like and stick him in there. So that's who they get, which puts Dallas Cowboys on the clock.
I guess I'll take Graham Barton, the tackle from Duke. The only reason I'm mad is because I think that's like the one person that's been getting mocked to Dallas like in almost every single mock draft I've been looking at. And I hate to go chalk, but if he's right there, they kind of need some offensive line help, just like every other team, it feels like. So we're going to take one of the better ones available later in the first round. And I guess it'll be a good pick for those Bama's.
Well, he's listed here as a tackle, but I think he really probably is
going to be an interior.
Yeah,
he's going to be an interior guy.
Right. What are the Packers doing?
They need help everywhere.
They do. The Packers are sprinting to the table with this pick. They are taking Brian Thomas Jr. They're getting a weapon for their young quarterback, Jordan Love. Brian Thomas Jr. coming out of LSU.
No, I drafted him.
He's already been picked.
Oh, you drafted Brian Thomas? Oh,
Yeah,
man. Then they're sprinting back from the table. and somebody's getting fired. Yeah. Oh, dang. Okay. Well, let's see. Who do we have on the board then? I don't know how I missed that. Okay. They're not quite as excited about Adonai Mitchell as they would be about Brian Thomas Jr. They need help. They're going to take Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. They need secondary help as well. Kool-Aid going to the Packers at pick 25.
All right, that puts Tampa Bay on the clock. They shocked the world last year with Baker Mayfield. They need running back help. We're not doing that in the first round. They need a tight end. Not doing that in the first round. A center, guard, edge defender, linebacker, quarterback. You can take your pick. They're going Terrion Arnold out of Alabama to fill some needs there. I think I've drafted 4 straight Alabama players, but that's okay. Cardinals, you're on the clock.
They could use some defensive help. Can you go to defensive interior?
Yep, go right up.
Please and thank you, sir. Yeah. Let's get Newton from Illinois. Honestly, I'm not too familiar with him, but if he's the highest ranked defensive interior left on the board, according to PFF, Green Bay's going to need some help on the defensive line. I think they lost. Somebody left them and went to free agency. I can't remember who at the moment, but I think they did lose one of their defensive tackle starters. So getting somebody in the first round, it wouldn't hurt.
No doubt. Buffalo.
All right, the Buffalo Bills is on the clock. They are picking. They're replacing Stephon Diggs here. They would love a better wide receiver than Adonai. I just don't love Adonai Mitchell. I'm gonna shock the world just a little bit here. And I'm gonna go Keon Coleman out of Florida State as their pick. Keon Coleman, very athletic wide receiver. I think he'd be a nice fit going along with Josh Allen. They can play a little bit of that. He's kind of got some familiarity with the playground style quarterback. And I think that'll be a nice pairing. So let's go Keon Coleman.
Lock it in. All right. Detroit is running to the podium to take Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. He's a defensive back. He is going to help that team almost immediately. Ravens, you are on the clock.
There's so many places they can go. I guess they'll take Adonai Mitchell if he's still on the board. They kind of need some receiver helps. I'm not too familiar with Adonai Mitchell. I'm not going to lie. I've been kind of focusing on positions in need for Washington. I didn't think that he would make it to the first round. I didn't think he would make it out of the first round. But I'm glad I did pick him for Baltimore because I know a lot of Raven fans. One of their biggest complaints is that they had small wide receivers. I was hoping when I drafted Mitchell that he was a taller wide receiver. And he is. He's 6'4". I feel like Raven fans would love that pick based on the height alone. He would be their more talented Anthony Mix.
Anthony Mix. So he's going to be a halfway decent special teamer?
I said more talented.
A lot more talented.
That was a more talented Anthony Mix is Cam Sims.
Oh, goodness. Okay, a Super Saiyan.
I'm playing. It's okay. It's okay.
49ers.
All right, pick at the San Francisco 49ers. This is a good spot. Chase Young left, and this is right about the spot where I think a Chop Robinson is going to come off the board. So I think, the Niners are going Chop all the way here.
Wow.
He's a defensive end. Yep.
Well, since we're getting squirrely about these picks, the Chiefs, a great offense last year, but mostly because of Patrick Mahomes. And I suspect that they're going to go get Xavier Legette as a draft, a downfield threat, big guy, stretch the field. It's what that offense is missing. They have Rashee Rice underneath and in the middle. Legette, however you want to say it, brings a different dynamic to that offense, and things work out fantastic. All right. Fellas, any players here that slid a little further than you think they will really slide on draft night?
I highly doubt Odunze is getting out of the top 10. I don't think. Yeah, he's not making it to 12. I feel like he's too talented. That pick, that Brock Bowers is not going in the top 10. I think you could probably flip them. Even though the Titans, if he does go in the top 10, that Titan spot might be the best spot for him, all things considered. But I don't know, bro. I don't know. And the Bears, they might shock the world and just draft another receiver. Keenan Allen isn't that young. You have Moore and Odunze to pair with Williams for years, and yeah, that's what I'm feeling. And McCarthy, he's not getting out of the top 10. We couldn't trade up or whatever, but yeah, it's not that top 10. It looks nice, but I don't know if it's going to happen exactly like that after that fourth pick. The fifth pick. Things might get a little bit weird. And so admittedly, I did start it with the neighbors to Giants. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would like it if it did.
I thought the Chargers would go wide receiver. I think the Chargers will go wide receiver. I think Joe Alt falls to the Titans. I see Brock Bowers with the Jets, honestly. I think New England's going to find itself in a really good position if Washington does, in fact, take Jaden Daniels, because I think that you're going to see a bidding war between the Raiders, the Vikings, and the Giants to move up to grab Drake May at 3. Because I think he's a decent, maybe not so much the Raiders, because the Raiders probably really want Jaden Daniels, but at least the Vikings and Giants might be fighting a little bit, and you might be able to pull a premium pick for May at 3 if it falls that way. I think the JJ McCarthy is like a consolation prize. I do still kind of think JJ McCarthy does make it out of the top 10. I think maybe analyst people are getting a little high on him, a little higher on him than they should be. Or somebody could move back up to jump to 10 or whatever to try to grab him. But that's kind of how I would see it falling out. I think Joe Alt is a Titan. He can probably put his jersey on right now. And Odunze, I can see going to San Diego or the Chargers at 5.
Yeah, I could see that. I could genuinely see that. I just think like if Joe Alt's on the board, I know how Jim Harbaugh wants to play. He wants to run the ball constantly and ask his quarterback to do very little. So that has to start with the trenches. I thought this is actually a pretty realistic draft. I don't think Jared Verse falls to number 17, but I wouldn't be stunned if he did, So, I thought we did a great job. All right, final thoughts on this draft as it relates to the real draft era.
This draft is the real draft is going to fall out exactly like this. We are psychic. We are Miss Cleo incarnate. That's just who we. No, I don't. I think there's going to be. I do think somebody's going to move into the top 3, and somebody's going to move out of the top 3. I just don't know who it is. Somebody's going to get a gigantic draft haul to move into numbers 2 or 3. That's my prediction for the draft.
It'll be very interesting. Mike, your thoughts?
I lied about the Patriots pick.
Dang.
I only said all that because I was picking 3. I mean, they should trade that pick, man. Put the Vikings over the table. Give me that 3. Give me the 11. I want your 25th first too. Oh, I want your 3rd for this year too. I want all of it. If I was the Patriots, I will put the Vikings down. I'm telling you, they will not see what's coming for this 3rd pick. I promise you. But outside of that, yeah, like everybody said, I did feel like we did a good job on the draft. I'm not trying to pat us on the back because it's us, but some people, they kind of get unrealistic with these drafts, and they're drafting running backs in the first round. I could have easily sent Peyton Wilson to the Ravens with the 30th pick. That would have been a fantastic pick. But they really, really need some more explosive wide receivers. It's 2024, and yeah, they need to get with the times. So Mitchell would be a great fit there. And even the receiver from Georgia.
Matt McConkey.
Yeah, I would like him with the Chiefs or the Ravens as well. Like I really feel like he's one of those receivers that's heady, I guess you could say. Might not be as athletic as Doomsday Neighbors or Harrison Jr., but he would fit in Kansas City for sure. I can promise you that. But as far as the Commanders, like this is probably the last time we're speaking before the draft, so I'm gonna just say, like, if they don't get Daniels and they draft May or even McCarthy, I really would like big ups Peters for making that decision and not going with the consensus and going with what you feel like you would want to do for your team. I would really like respect that, but wouldn't mind Daniels as well. So I'm just ready for Thursday.
We are ready for Thursday. I agree with that sentiment. Look, the draft is coming. We might do a live stream on draft night, so tune into our YouTube channel for that. We'll give you the deets on that one, and it'll be fun. We'll do live reaction shows. Might have Fedarian Mathis. I'm just kidding. Fedarian Mathis won't be here, but it should be a fun show. So if you're free Thursday, stop in with your boys. You'll see us reacting to Jaden Daniels, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, or some kind of trade on Thursday night. Commanders Declassified. We are out of here. We're going to get our quarterback, guys. Stay tuned.